Right, so I want to tell you a quick story about how not to negotiate. So we did this mistake, we made this mistake, we learned the hard way. So listen to this for a couple of minutes and it's going to save you potentially a lot of hassle and a lot of pain. So rewind a couple of years, 2023, we are at 7 figures. We are dominating a particular sub niche in our category. We are the best selling products, right? We've been in this space since 2020. We single-handedly pretty much grown the niche. And then we had a few copycats come into the market, but we were still leading the pack. So we'd worked with our supplier for 3 years. Now, initially, it took us ages to find this supplier because this product wasn't in huge demand. Like we came into it and the whole niche grew, but there was only one supplier that we found at the time. Since then, a bunch more had come onto the market, but we were still happy with our main supplier. However, we wanted better payment terms. We had a good relationship with them. There was a lot of trust. They would manufacture products for us and store it in China without us paying, but we wanted better payment terms still. We wanted to pay them not when the product was released, but when it was received in the US. We wanted net 30 or even net 60 payment terms because the product's coming the whole way from China, it's getting produced, getting shipped the whole way to the US. Then we've got to sell it. Then we're getting paid, right? So the cash conversion cycle is long. So we're speaking on WeChat, we're speaking on email, and to be honest, we're not really getting anywhere. But we're 3 years into the business, so we're like, right, we haven't been to China. Let's just get on a plane. Let's get over to China. Let's meet them in person. And I'm sure we can get a great deal done. So what do? We book flights. We jump over there. We arrange 6 different supplier meetings. But the main reason we were going was for this one supplier, right? Because this was our biggest selling product at the time. It's what we were spending the most money on. So we get to China. We fly into Beijing. We then get a train to the arse end of nowhere, right? So we go super rural. We knew the supplier was going to be fairly rural from seeing the address, but we were right in the middle of nowhere. And we weren't honestly really expecting much from the facility. But as we get to the factory, we realized that this is a pretty substantial operation. It was a lot bigger than we thought. They were working with a lot more customers than we thought, and they're making a lot more products than we thought. So we thought we were the biggest customer overall, but it turns out we weren't at all, right? We were the biggest customer for our particular product, but overall they had some giant operations going on. So we go in, we meet our rep who speaks English, and then we do a customary tour of the facility, and we meet the big boss. So the big boss comes in, older guy, spoke 0 English, as far as we know. Still dubious about this. And then we get in the car and we go to lunch. So when you go to these meetings in China, what you'll do is have a buffet lunch, sorry, a banquet lunch rather. So you go to a restaurant, you walk in, there'll be a bunch of food that you pick out what you want. So a bunch of raw meat, raw fish, vegetables. Some of it looks incredibly unappetizing. You pick it, then you go to a private room. In the private room, they'll bring the food in, one after the other, after the other, after the other. You get a shitload of food. Honestly, it's way too much, but it's part of the way things are done there, right? So you kind of go along with it. And as you're sitting there, you're going to have a few drinks. So they put out some beers. You have these tiny little glasses. So you drink a beer in a glass about this big. But they'll also put out rice wine, right? So rice wine is disgusting, firstly. If any of you have tried it, please comment below what you think. It's called Baiju, think of how it's pronounced. But every boss that we met, every meeting we had, they pulled out a bottle of rice wine. And it was always like a bit of a competition of who had the strongest one, who had the best one. It was a real status play. And as they do this, they pour it into these really small glasses. And every time they kind of raise a glass to cheers, you drink some, right? Now, we saw a few other suppliers before meeting this one. And we'd had our fair share of rice wine. We didn't develop a taste for it because it's disgusting, but it does get you pretty trashed. So you have to be careful of it. But this meeting was important, right? So we were like, okay, look, we'll drink it. We want to kind of please the main man, and it will give us a bit of balls, right, to then go forward, be a bit aggressive with our negotiations. But there's one other thing that was weird about this lunch, and it's because normally me and Alex would sit next to each other, right? Usually it's a big circle table, and the middle of it spins around. So we sit next to each other. We could kind of chat amongst ourselves as well as chatting to the guests and our kind of delegates from the company. Now it's pretty stunted because only usually a couple of them speak English. But at this lunch, we walk in and the big boss put himself between me and Alex, and he had 0 English. We think, we still don't really honestly know. But he sat between us, so we couldn't really communicate, which wasn't ideal. Look, maybe it was a an alpha tactic by him, I think it was, because he also kept slapping me on the leg when he was laughing, which was a bit of an alpha move, but I was trying to be polite. So anyway, we start drinking a bit of rice wine. The food's flowing, a couple of beers are flowing. We're chatting about very stunted stuff, about family, about the kind of the business at a higher level. And then we're like, look at each other across the table, me and Alex, kind of have a nod. We're like, look, let's get down to brass tacks. We want to talk about payment terms. So we pitched our plan, right? We wanted better terms. It will allow us to order more units. We can grow the niche even more. We've been the best customer of this for years, etc., etc. She then speaks to the boss who sat between us, like I said. They have a chat for a while. Me and Alex kind of looking at each other like, yeah, this is it. She comes back. No. Hey, quick one. I want to jump in here and say, if you are looking to start your own brand on Amazon, on Shopify, on TikTok, an overall e-commerce brand, that is what we do inside our Honest FBA. There's a link down below. You can apply for a call, see if you're a good fit for the community. We can have a chat, and you can join these bunch of people in there who have recently launched products and are absolutely killing it. And we're like, huh? Like what we've come the whole way here. A flat no, not even kind of a bit of give and take. It was just, no, we're not doing that. The terms are staying as they are. So we kind of pushed back and we're like, look, we don't think you guys are maybe understanding what we're saying. Like we're still going to pay you. You're still going to earn, you're actually going to earn more. But we need to space that out, right? And we've come the whole way here. Like, guys, look, we've come the whole way to China. This is a big commitment. We've known you guys for years now. Can we please organize these terms? It will really help us move forward and solidify our relationship. Speaks again, comes back. No, we can't do it. Companies in the north of China don't do this. That's what they do in the south, which absolute bullshit, to be honest, but that's what they fed us. So at this point, we say, look, we've got other options. And we had been speaking to other suppliers about this product, as well as some of our existing suppliers that made other products for us. But the quotes that had come back, to be truthful, weren't as good. They weren't as competitive. And we got samples of the product, and they also weren't up to the same standards as what our main supplier offered. So we kind of could threaten, we did threaten, look, we can go elsewhere. We have other options. And they kind of knew, look, we're the big dog here. Like we know we're the best supplier of this product. So are you really going to go? Like they can basically call our bluff. So we threatened it and they kind of shrugged their shoulders. So we thought, right, we're going to have one last pitch here. So we went full steam ahead, laid it out all for them on the table, and really went hard on the offer, right? And if they didn't want to work this anymore, they're going to lose a bunch of money. We'll go elsewhere. She speaks to the boss this time for a long time, right? She got the message loud and clear. And we're thinking, okay, maybe it didn't really get through before. So again, looking at each other across the table, kind of, yeah, this is in the bag now. She then turns to us, goes, would you like more dumplings? Now, that was like a dagger in the heart, right? After all that effort, and that was everything we had. We laid all our cards on the table and just simply offered us a bit more food. So at that point, we were like, look, no, like we still want to discuss these terms. This isn't really what we came for. And before you know it, our driver comes in the door, and they'd organized for us, and we're off. We're getting shuffled into the car. We say goodbye, and we're back on our way to the hotel, feeling pretty bad, all right? A tail between our legs, thinking, like, that did not go as we'd hoped at all. Fresh out negotiations. Oh God, how are you feeling?
Not good.
That was hard, wasn't it?
It was fucking hard work, yeah.
God. We'll cut in we tried to record some of the audio, we'll try and cut it in, but he was not budging, was he?
He was... Yeah, I'm not really sure. I would love to speak to somebody who thinks they're an expert in negotiating with them and what they do, because I don't know.
Hardball doesn't work. Softball doesn't work.
You just have no leverage. They don't. You need them way more than they need you. No.
And that was when we learned the lesson, right? The reason for this video is we had no leverage in this situation. They had all the leverage. They held all the cards. We had basically nothing. They knew they are the best manufacturer of this product. They knew they offered the best prices. They knew we were at big scale and we would depend on them to keep scaling our brand. So they held all the cards, right? Even though we come the whole way to China, and honestly, just to be sound, they could have given us something, but they didn't, and we kind of left, and it caused like a bit of animosity between us and them for a while. But we had to continue working with them because they were the best option that we had, and we didn't want the product quality to suffer. Now, this was a really important lesson to learn, because any future negotiations we've gone into, and we actually have said, we made threats, and we've said that we're going to go elsewhere. If you are going to say that, make sure you can actually follow through. Make sure you have that in your back pocket, right? This is a real bad lesson to learn, and learning it the whole way in China absolutely sucks. But now, if you make those threats, we actually have these backups, right? You have to be prepared to walk away from any negotiation if you're going to push it to that degree. So what's happened since then? Funnily enough, about 6 to 8 months later, they started chasing us because our orders had actually reduced. That became less of a focus for us, that product, not because of this interaction, to be honest, that we found better products that became hero SKUs for us and have gone on, but we do still sell this product. But what this supplier messed up on, in our opinion, was they actually allowed a bunch of other sellers on Amazon to come and buy from them, right? So the market became pretty saturated, which led to a big reduction on the average price. We managed to kind of stay the course, and we're still selling the product now, but there was a long while, like almost for a year, where this market got pretty destroyed, which absolutely sucked for them because nobody was ordering any more inventory. So they came back to us and actually offered us the terms that we wanted when we spoke to them in China. But at this point, they weren't really that useful to us at that stage, and this product now isn't that important for us. But nevertheless, that was a very good lesson to learn. So hopefully you guys are watching this now, have some leverage. You cannot go into a negotiation without leverage. And if you know they hold all the power, don't do it, right? Don't make yourself look a fool like we did. And if you go to China, be careful on the rice wine. See you soon.